Today I'll be talking about how systems that were originally built for control are losing their edge over time because they exploited by internal employees normally for the convenience sake. Yeah, so I'll try to talk about why it happens and then how to stay on top of the security and reclaim it back if you're already down the line of being exploited. Right, so before I go to explaining how we can fix it, I'll talk about the problems or operational realities we have to face in our day-to-day operations. So the issues that occur, the exploits, they take part in the traditional access models that normally are designed in a predictable, fixed way. They are linear in the nature, and over time, if you thought through a certain access policy and it's been implemented once and for all and it never changes and it never updates, the certain loopholes are started to be developed and used by internal staff. So I'll start with the operational reality. Number one is business demands speed. So if any policy or any workflow for the access assignment to a specific employee is too complex, the people don't want to lose time. Yeah. If the time is lost on any delayed access rights assigned to any given employee, it basically results in the financial impact. Yeah, so no one wants that. So business demands speeds. As a result, employees, their managers, and senior managers, they demand something to be done immediately instead of following a pre-approved policy or pre-approved workflow on approval. Right? The business demands less red tape. So any red tape, it basically annoys employees. It's not even about the productivity anymore. It's about the overall mood and impression of working in a specific environment. Over time, they change the view on the company, and potentially you're not just losing productivity, you're losing your resources. So this has to be fixed. There is a constant pressure on a security team, right? They are being pressured by everyone. Yeah. If they are not able to give an access to a given individual to perform his task, they will be pressured by the individual first, and then they will be pressured by management, senior management, and potentially some, CTO or whatnot. So they cave in. Yeah, they give somebody an access immediately on the spot, potentially by the means of utilizing temporary credential that they have laying around with predefined access level already assigned to it. So they'll give it away for somebody to fix an issue right now, and then because they're so busy, because they're so pressured, they forget to get it back. Yeah. So over time, those temporary credentials, they all over the place. Some employees, some contractors have them, and people forget about them. So at some point, it can be lost. Yeah. Somebody can't find it, and then you have an intruder coming into your premises, trying to do things they're not supposed to do. And finally, the system adapts. It's a human nature. Any system, any organization is like a living organism. Yeah, they always find the easier way to perform their task. And if you don't enforce and control your access policies, it will happen one way or the other. So fundamentally, we need to prevent that from happening. So how it's done? So first of all, the whole model of the access management or access governance, it has to change. Right? At the moment, it's linear. Normally, it's linear, and it's controlled by predefined policy, and that's it. No one really cares about individual identity that is registered on the system. This has to change. The identity needs to operate as a policy anchor. What I mean by that is that instead of relying on existing policies, you need to rely on individual. By this, I mean identity attributes. Where he works, what's his name, his department, his role, right? All of those attributes, as well as potentially certificates and trainings he has done, must be taken into consideration. Why? Because they constantly change. The specific person can change the department. They can change the location. And the access rights must follow them. And appropriate access rights must be given, and the ones that are not appropriate must be taken away. And it has to be done organically and constantly while the organization operates, right? So also there must be continuous compliance. Yeah, you have to be aware of which access rights are assigned to individual person for a specific period of time, because maybe they are no longer needed. Yeah, and if they are no longer needed, they must be taken away. So you have to stay on top of that. So how specifically it's done? It's done through using PIM solutions. So PIM stands for Physical Identity and Access Management. There are a few vendors on this show. We are one of us, obviously. But what it fundamentally allows you to do is to have a system that acts as a processing unit or a brain of the operation. It allows you to consolidate multiple sites, multiple access control systems together under the same roof. It's like an umbrella. And then you control it from a single point, potentially using the single user interface. Yeah, and you will ingest all the information throughout all the organization and be able to generate appropriate reports and audits, yeah, in order to stay compliant. So another, like I already mentioned, another fundamental element of PIM is a real-time reconciliation. Yeah, so all of those systems, because they're connected to the same thing, you have scheduled or near real-time synchronization with those systems, including HR, including physical access, including logical access, all of those attributes, all of those fields, they're constantly pulled into PIM. And based on any changes in any given system, the access rights will be adjusted accordingly. Right, so that's what we need, yeah? It must be automated, and any access provisioning must be controlled, not by human, through manual labor, yeah, but by system with policies that were thought through, defined for multiple scenarios. Yeah. So also when it comes to approval workflows, those must be tailored to a specific context. What I mean by that, that normally in the legacy system, the approval of somebody's access rights must be done by security managers. And over time, the bigger organization gets, the more load it puts on security stuff. Yeah, that's not scalable. So as a result, what we need is to have approval path that depends on a specific identity. So let's say you have a contractor, yeah? His access rights must be approved by the responsible manager instead of relying on security. If there is some exceptions, like, maybe it's a special type of access to a secure environment, then you might have a second step of authorization, and obviously that's applied to security managers. But before it happens, you can do it yourself. End users can submit requests, and their line managers can approve them, and security guys just need to make sure that all the policies are up to date and rule sets are in place. So it reduces the strain on your security stuff. Finally, continuous recertification, right? All the access levels, especially including the high security areas, must be reviewed every specified period of time. It depends on the specific regulations. Sometimes it's 30 days, sometimes it's 90, sometimes it's once half a year. But those must be done. It's not, you can't rely on people remembering things because they will forget, especially if they're under load. So this system removes this limitation. Also, how can you keep the control on things? You can do that through frictionless experience, right? So one of the frictionless experience is have self-service in the PIM system. Instead of relying on ServiceNow or some other ticketing system where the user will submit his request, it will go to security manager who is overloaded and will take time to be processed, you will allow them to request access rights directly in the PIM system with their line manager approving them. So it practically can be done in 5 minutes if they are next to each other especially, or at least they're in touch through email or whatnot. So this allows the frictionless experience. Another good point for the same topic is the mobile credentials. So again, if you look around, there is a lot of companies that offer mobile credentials. Fundamentally, what they do is simplify the provisioning of the credentials that you can use to open the door. Instead of printing your card, encoding it, shipping it, and so on, you can just do it over the cloud at any given moment. Yeah, it will simplify the access assignment to a specific individual so he can finally do his job instead of waiting for the delivery. And another thing is the PIM system allows you to stay compliant, not just with one regulation specific to one region. You can have multiple compliances because you can have multiple policies that will apply to a specific location or specific site in your organization. And what I learned from existing projects is that certain regions and their regulations are more effective than the others. So if you can see the good results in a specific region, you can in fact proactively adapt the same practices in your existing region, even if you don't have to. Yeah, and all this intel, all this data, it's not just lost because you're working silos. Every region just do their own thing and forget to share. Yeah, you can actually benefit from all this knowledge constantly. Right, and just to like a takeaway, yeah, to finalize it all, what we need to do is we have to start think differently. So all those legacy models that were linear and fixed, they need to go, and they must be replaced with dynamic and decentralized systems. By decentralized, I mean you cannot rely on your security management team constantly. You have to give those decision-making rights to other people. Yeah, line managers, contractors managers, and so on. So yeah, I hope that was useful. Any questions? Please let me know.